Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to week 1 of the Kraken 11 Power Rankings. You're going to notice that this is a video, and it's not the text that I normally put on Discord. So I figured it'd be a quicker way for both me and you. Well, mostly, I guess, for me. Be a little bit longer for you to watch the video. But instead of doing 60 to 90 minutes of writing, all the little quips and rankings and all that bullshit, if I can do it in about 10 to 15 minutes on here, it'll be a big win. Could save some time. And, whatever else it might be. I don't really care that much for you guys. It's more about to make it easier for me. But this is a popular segment that's asked for every year, and I'm going to deliver it, and you guys are going to take it. So I think we'll just start at the top. Again, trying to keep this short. We're going to start here with Jonathan. What I'm going to do, actually, I'll take a quick step back real quick. I'm going to write them down over here. I'm just going to write down where I think the teams are going to fit, and I'll move them around as necessary. I'm just going to go through them, write them, and we'll have the list by the end here. So I'll start here with the Jonathan Taylor Fan Club by West Coast McGovern. Yeah, West Coast McGovern won't stop reminding us about how great West Coast is, and just the general obnoxiousness of people who are from California. And yeah, he fits in quite well there. So let's start off with what McGovern is known for: good keepers, weird drafts, and bad managerial decisions. We're going to start off here with the keepers: Lawrence, Waddle, Hopkins, and Kyle Pitts. So overall, I like the keepers. I love the Jalen Waddle for A.J. Brown swap. I think overall the team has a lot of. This is a typical McGovern team with lots of potential, but a very low floor. But overall, I think it's going to balance out quite a bit. I since he's the first one, I kind of have to just put him in the middle here. I'm going to do Jonathan or JTFC to start. I mean, and again, it's a McGovern team. There's a lot of rookies down there. I liked Mingo. I liked Mims. And you have second years in Dotson and Collins. Overall, I think there's some good wide receiver depth there. But it's not an overly strong team. It's going to rely on Dobbins being healthy and Jonathan Taylor actually coming back to play some damn football. So I'm not sure how this will end up, but I have a feeling that McGovern is going to find a way to keep himself out of the top 3 for another year. So moving on, I'm going to go to Freaky's team, Antonio Gibson's Hitman Reborn. I want to say a perennial favorite, but it's only year 2. But you know what? This team is is very, very strong. Burrow's already got his questionable tag removed. Gibbs has some news here. Let's take a look at what we got. Got to keep it short. May see reduced workload. Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. But probably the most fearsome trio of wide receivers in the league: Hill, Brown, Sun God. 3 wide receiver ones, absolutely stacked. Burrow, an elite QB. Gibbs should have, I believe, high usage, but we'll see. Just like last year, I remember being a little bit worried about the running back room after the draft, but he made it work really well last year. I don't think it'll be as much of a home run this year, but I think those receivers are going to carry. And Darren Waller is my pick to be TE2, possibly even TE1, depending on what happens with Kelsey. But I have a very high opinion of Waller. I've always liked him. He's always fucked me over. This year, he doesn't get to have that pleasure. So we're going to do Antonio Gibson's. I have a feeling there aren't going to be any teams that I like more than this one. Antonio Gibson's Hitman Reborn. We'll keep that right there. And then moving on here. So we're gonna skip mine. We're gonna do mine last because we kind of know where that's gonna end up. So we'll go to James White Babies. That's Nolan, the brand new expansion team. Shout out to this picture. LOL. That gets me every time. Also, congratulations on since 2004, you've had your email for almost 20 years. That's quite the accomplishment. That's probably the most you're going to win with this team this year. Overall, though, I don't hate it. It is a lot. It reminds me of my team last year, but there's some upgrades and there's some players that have lost value. Josh Allen's Josh Allen. I could have kept him. Maybe I should have, but I don't think I needed to. But he is what he is. We all know what Josh Allen is, though I don't think he'll be running as much this year. We'll see what ends up happening. Receivers are all solid, but low ceiling overall. I'd say no real studs, but I think they have pretty high floors. But he's gonna need a stud in there if he wants to compete for a championship. If he wants to sniff Freaky's team, but Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon, Ken Walker, Pacheco, P. Ryan, Algier, Roshan Johnson. I mean, there's a lot of good running backs here. I think Algier could even be a serviceable flex, even with behind Bijan. And I love Derrick Henry. I think Joe Mixon's going to get volume. So there's just a lot to like here. Dallas Goedert, go Birds, awesome tight end. Fantasy wise, not as good as he is in real life, but still a very serviceable fantasy tight end. I like this team a lot. I'd say it's in my top half, and we'll put it. Let's see, James White. I'll just put him right around here for now. James White. All right. Next, we gotta go through here a little bit faster. All right, let's get to Jewish McCaffrey here. All right, another great picture. That's a W. So Hurts, Chase, and then Marquise Brown and Rashad Bateman. That's a scary 2 and 3. But CMC, Tony Pollard, I think they're both going to be elite options. Kincaid, question mark. Montgomery is supremely underrated. Mostert's going to be good for a couple weeks until he gets injured, and then some more question marks on the bench. It's not my favorite team. I don't hate it. I think I don't like it as much as Nolan's team. I'm gonna put it above McGovern's team. This will definitely change depending on, I guess. Yeah, it'll change. So we're gonna go with Jewish Mixie right there. So let's move on here. I mean, let's go to Crew the Almighty. I don't know how he snuck over there, but yeah, hey, since 06, again, I mean, I'm not as good as Nolan's, but that's 15, 16, 17 years of having the same email. I lost mine, so it's only I don't know, like 7 or 8 years old on mine, but let's focus on the team instead. So, Lamar Jackson, Garrett Wilson, Calvin Ridley, Keenan Allen, Bijan Robinson, Aaron Jones, TJ Hawkinson, Christian Watson, Sky Moore. Yeah, I mean, that's basically where the team ends. I guess after Laporta is where the team ends. Everything else is trash. Van Jefferson, every year is his year. But Lamar Jackson could be QB1. Garrett Wilson could be a top 5 wide receiver. Calvin Ridley could be a top 10, top 15 wide receiver. I mean, that's the ceiling, right? Keenan Allen needs to stay healthy. I just think this team has a lot of options, but there's also some inconsistency. This is a 12-team league, so it can't be too picky with some of these guys. Aaron Jones is top talent in a 12-teamer. Hawkinson's a top 5 tight end. Arguably, you could say top 3. Though I we'll see. Watson is, he's the wide receiver 1 in Green Bay. Sky Moore, the story keeps getting better for him. So I like this team a lot. I like it more than Nolan's. I don't like it as much as Freaky's. I'm gonna put Crew right here. There we go. And then we're gonna move on to, where are we? Boom, 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 boom. Yep. Captain Krusty's Kraken Crunch. The 4th K is really important. I think that should all be part of the name. But one of the other expansions. So let's see how he did against James White, the first expansion team here. So Kirk Cousins, Stephon Diggs, Pittman, Debo. So just looking through here, I do like this team a lot. I think Kirk Cousins is fantastic. I have some worries, obviously, with some of the wide receivers, with their quarterbacks. Not Stephon Diggs, mainly Pittman and Debo. Especially, is Debo number 1? Is Ayuk number 1? Is it 1A, 1B? Can Purdy replicate what he did last year? There's some question marks there, but even if Debo is in a 1A, 1B with Ayuk, you have 3 wide receivers who are number 1 on their team. It's a decent wide receiving core. Barkley and Rashad White are going to be, Rashad White, Sean Tucker could come in, go Cuse. But arguably, Rashad White is the lead back there, and Barkley is a workhorse, obviously in New York. So Njoku is a slept-on tight end. I think he'll be really good. But Swift could be the number 1 in Philly, and Brandon Cooks is other than last year, is one of those guys that's always a 1K receiving yard type of player. So he could do a lot better with Dak at the helm. Compared to last year when he had some high schoolers throwing to him. So the depth is okay. Running back is kind of thin, but having Zeke signing New England is going to be good for him. Overall, I think it's a pretty good team. Not as good as Nolan's. So we're going to put it K. K right there. Do I like it better than Jewish McCaffrey? I think I do, though. No, I don't. No, I don't. Can I undo that? How do I undo that? I'm just going to do a little white box. And then we're going to do one of these little squares, shapes. You get to see me do this right there. Solid color, fill, solid color. And then, where am I going to put it? There. We'll get that out of here. We're going to move Jewish McCaffrey up here. And then we're going to go back to brushes. We're going to do this. And then we're going to do... Okay, I do like this team more than I like McGovern's team. So we'll put that there. Yeah, I do like this team more than McGovern's team. So, moving on. We're going to have Kraken Combined Tour. Our league champion from last year. And a perennial pain in the ass. Let's see. With with Morganelli. With Mahomes and Justin Jefferson and Devontae Smith. Those are... I mean, we'll start with just Mahomes and Jefferson. This is a top 3 team, probably just on its own there. But Devontae Smith is great value. I think he could even be better than A.J. Brown this year. I think he could make that jump. There's a lot of good players here. And then late season, if Jameson Williams comes back and does what he should have been doing, I think that could be a very strong case for best wide receiving core in the league. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But this is another favorite to not just make the playoffs, but to win it all again, though I don't think it's as good of a chance as maybe Crew. So I'm going to move that up here. But I'm going to put, I like him. I like this team better than Nolan's team. Yeah, better than some of these. So I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to do Kraken Combined Tour. And then we're going to move on to, we're going on to T-Bib here. So, Luke, I am your fada. Okay. So, just looking at this team, there's been a lot of arguments on what the term depth means. So, as is every year, Jake thinks he says he has the best depth in the entire league. I do not call this depth. He has a lot of players that could be something. There are a lot of dart throws, a lot of rookies. That's not depth. But that doesn't mean I don't like the bench either. I think it's a real... I would like to have a lot of these guys. I think Hyatt could be good. Quentin Johnson could be good. Rashee Rice could be good, but they're low on the depth chart. They're not. I mean, they're not even. They're barely depth on their own teams. I guess I wouldn't say that. I would say they are considered depth on their own teams. That doesn't make them good depth in fantasy football. I think Jake really struggles with depth on this. He needs, in order to be competitive, he needs basically the ceiling from all his guys. He needs Field ceiling. He needs Metcalf ceiling. He needs Olave ceiling. He needs Mike Evans ceiling. He needs Eckler ceiling. Madison. He needs all these guys ceiling to compete with some of the big guns here. I just don't think it's going to work out like that. I think that's just asking too much. And I think it's going to be another 5th, 6th place season for Jake. But if some of these dart throws hit, then that would be probably best case, and then he could vault himself into a top 3 conversation. But as it stands right now, I'm not buying it. I would put him... okay, I got it. I'm going to do this. Going to move these down, and then I'm going to slot in T-Bib right here. Oops. TBIB. And we're going to move on. I can't look at this garbage anymore. It's making me sick. Let's go to McDonald's Fine Dining. A far cry from Devontae's Inferno, but possibly in a good way. So just looking at this team, I mean, imagine this team with actual keepers. That would be insane. But instead, they're wasted on Michael Carter and James Robinson. I don't think Judy is a waste, and I don't think Kelsey is a waste just yet, as they have to get healthy, obviously. But if their health is a big issue, then this comes way down. But overall, Deshaun Watson has a good ceiling. The floor is that he never returns to form. I think he'll be pretty good. I think he will be I think he'll be in the Dak Prescott sort of range. The low QB1 is what I would say. But T. Higgins, Mike Williams, Deontay Johnson, not very deep, but there was really nothing there. All the top 12 receivers were all kept. So you're forced to take T. Higgins in the first round. And then Mike Williams. I think Deontay Johnson, I love that pick. I think he comes back and has a good year. Josh Jacobs needs to be only the Josh Jacobs from last year and not from any of the prior years. He was just bad basically until last year. James Conner needs to stay healthy. I do have concerns. But if Watson doesn't play out, here's the thing. If Watson doesn't play out, I think Daniel Jones is going to have a better year. So you just slot in Daniel Jones' team, I think looks a lot better. If Kelsey doesn't work out, Evan Engram is not Kelsey, but he's far from the worst tight end that you could have as a replacement. I think it was really smart of Jay to get back up for Kelsey, but I'm spending a little bit too much time here. I think he slots in below Jake. How would I compare? It's overall not great. I'm going to move this up here, and I'm going to put in McDonald's. I'm not spelling that right, and I don't care, but we're spending too much time on this, and I'm going to move on. So where are we? We've gotten most of these. We haven't done mine yet. I'm going to do mine last. So we're going to go on to Jenny, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 3 left. We'll go to Jenny. So Jenny's team. Cooper Kupp is out, so he's going to need to be taken out, and that is not... I want to see the news. Come on, scroll, you bitch. Not playing week 1. Yeah, that's not good at all. It's good for my Puka Nacua shares, if that's how you even say his name, and it's good for Chris's Van Jefferson shares, but Van Jefferson's not that guy. So this team, as it stands, I have serious concerns. Kupp was the only thing that was considered a stud receiver on this team. Godwin will be a safety valve for Baker Mayfield. I think that's fine. If Pickett makes the leap this year that everyone's saying he did, Pickens will be really solid. But there's this team that has me a bit worried. It's not one that I'm a big fan of. It's something that could change a lot later in the season. If Breece Hall gets injured, then Dalvin Cook is great. If Dalvin Cook gets injured, then Breece Hall becomes a workhorse again. There's a lot of that kind of stuff. So, as it stands, especially with the news of Cooper Kupp being out, I'm putting, I think, let's see, Herb Ertz. There we go. So we're going to put that down there, and we're going to take a look now at Stax' team. Geno Smith, Ayuk, Amari Cooper, Juju Smith-Schuster, Najee Harris, Nick Chubb, etc., etc. I like the running backs on this team a lot. I like Harris. I like Chubb. I don't like Harris. I like his volume. I think he's going to have... I know Jalen Warren is what everyone is saying is going to take over at some point. I think Harris returns a bit to form, and he's a very solid player. Nick Chubb, always underrated and really, really solid. I think Cam Akers continues the run he had at the end of last year. But the wide receiving and the core on this team is also pretty weak. But, I love Ayuk. Had him last year. It just all depends on the QB situation if that works out. Juju Smith-Schuster, they're saying his knee could explode at any time. So you put in Cortland Sutton. The Denver project needs to work out for that to be viable. The bench is very minor depth. These are all basically flex at best kinds of guys. It's not a team that I hate, but I just think there's a lot of teams that are better. So I would say I'm going to put Stacks probably here. Below McGovern, above Jenny. And then we move on to yours truly, the High Kraken Chieftain, spelled with a K. And look, you're going to actually see how I feel about my team. I'm going to be honest with it. I think Dak Prescott is a QB1. I think he's a top 10 quarterback, and I think he has a lot more. He has some really good weapons this year. I think it's going to be a good Dak Prescott year. But that's not even the main point. I think having Devontae Adams and CeeDee Lamb, two of the best wide receivers in the league, is going to be enormous. And then I think Michael Thomas I'm not the guy saying that Michael Thomas is going to be, 2019 Michael Thomas. I'm saying that Michael Thomas is a wide receiver 3 with wide receiver 2 upside, and anything above that is something I considered when I'm drafting him, but I'm not expecting that. I would be thrilled with wide receiver 2 production. That would be probably best case scenario, realistically. Ramondre Stevenson, look, they got Zeke, right? They got Zeke, goal line, all that, yada, yada. Look, he only had 6 touchdowns last year. That's not unreasonable to ask for again this year. It's just the volume and the efficiency he's had with his touches that made him a valuable 4th-round keeper. I stand by that. I wish that they didn't sign Zeke, but Ramondre's not a great end zone sniffer anyway. So I don't think that changes too much. I think he does a little bit better this year, but could be around the same stat line. Miles Sanders, same sort of thing. People are knocking him though for his lack of receiving. I think that changes this year. And I know he's not a worse team this year. So his efficiency goes down, but he's a confirmed 3-down back. Keeping him in the 6th round is a no-brainer. But then everything gets a little dicey down here. I'm really just hoping for someone to pop off. And then addressing the waiver wire as it goes. So I mean, I don't love my team compared to everyone else's. I think I'm gonna outmanage most of you, but I'm gonna put down here and put in Kamish down here on second bottom as an overall grading of my team. Though a lot of these matchups I will beat you and I will embarrass you for it. So I think that's all 12. So you can stamp this, keep it for your collection, but we're going to wrap up the video here. I don't know if I'll go back to writing or not, but if I can keep doing this keeping the videos pretty quick, then maybe I'll do it this way. But in the meantime, fantasy starts tomorrow. Fuck all y'all, fuck your teams, and I'll see you soon. See ya.